I need y'all to do me a favor. I need you to get as quiet as you possibly can. Just as quiet. I want you to listen. For there is a cry that is going out all over our land and country. There is a cry that is being made even in our churches. Some days that cry is real faint. Some days that cry is a little louder. Then there are days when that cry shakes the very foundation that we stand on. It's almost as if sometimes, after crying for so long, after trying to get the attention of those around, the cry gets louder and louder. The cry gets stronger and stronger. But no matter how strong or how long the cry is, it seems like it goes unnoticed. It seems like everybody is turning a deaf ear, but yet the cry is there. Yet the cry continues to be uttered. The cry continues to ring out, but nobody is listening to the cry. Nobody gives heed to the cry. Everybody is busy doing what you're doing, and nobody listens. Nobody hears the cry. But even as I sat here this morning, the faint cry came. The faint cry came. The faint cry is still ringing. But everybody is busy. Everybody is busy doing what we do. And we continue to ignore the cry. Sometimes we even hear the piercing sound of the cry. But yet we do nothing. The cry is there. The cry is there. And our scripture this morning, I want to call your attention back to Mark, the 9th chapter. And I want to read again verses 17 and 18. And this is from the New Living Translation. And I'll read it also from King James. King James reads this way. And some from Blount translation. Mark 9:17. King James says, and one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him,
and he foameth and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples, that they should cast him out, and they could not. The New Living says, one of the men in the crowd spoke up and said, Teacher, I brought my son so you could heal him. He's possessed by an evil spirit that won't let him talk. And whenever the spirit seizes him, it throws him violently to the ground. Then he foams at the mouth and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast out the evil spirit, but they could not do it. The cry was being made then. The cry is still being made today. The cry is coming from young as well as old. The cry is beating at our doors. The cry is going unanswered. What is that cry? As I said, sometimes it's a faint cry. But the more that faint cry is heard and nobody answers it, it gets a little louder. And it continues to gain volume until, as I said, it shakes our very foundation. And if we listen on our jobs, if we listen in our schools, if we listen in our churches, we'll hear the same cry being made. And that cry is, help. 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 But nobody hears the cry. And even if we hear the cry, we act like we don't. This man, the scripture tells us that he brought his son who was possessed with an evil spirit. He brought him that Jesus might heal him. But as we know, Jesus was up on the mountain. And he brought his son to Jesus' disciples. These are the people who have been with Jesus. These are the ones that have seen him in action. These are the ones who have claimed and staked their allegiance to him. These are the ones who have said, I will follow you wherever you go. Just like many of us have said, yes, Lord, I will follow you. Yes, Lord, I will do
someone to help. This man needed help. And as I stand here today, the world is crying for help. The world is, everywhere you turn, it's help. Help. I need help. I need somebody help. Not just anybody. Help. You know I need someone help. But as I stand here today, I have to admit to you, I have to acknowledge to you that with all that is going on, sometimes it causes us, rather than trying to help the situation, it causes us to get hard on the inside. We see people being mistreated. We see people being taken advantage of. We hear people crying out for help, but yet we look at it and rather than helping the situation, we internalize what is going on, and by internalizing it, it causes us to get hard. I know for myself, I have seen people do things, and because of what they did, I immediately got on the defensive because I assumed that what they did, they were doing because of the color of my skin. You know how it is. You probably experienced it yourself. You've been in line in the store, and somebody else walks up, and they assume that even though you're standing there and you're the next person in line, they assume that they can just step in front of you. And then to top it off, the cashier waits on them, and you were standing there. It's a cry for help. But rather than nicely saying, "Excuse me, but I was here," we do one of two things. We go from 0 to 100. And the head starts whipping, and the mouth starts. So you've been there. I don't know what the other thing is we should do or might do, because most of the time that's where we go. And we don't say nothing. We standing there and steam is radiating off your head. The look on your face says it all. But this man, he brought his son to the church. And the cry was, "Help me. My son is possessed with an evil spirit that he can't talk, and when the spirit takes him, it throws him down, and it causes him to foam at the mouth. It causes him to gnash his teeth. It causes him to, in essence, have a fit. Help. Help. My son needs help." But find, just like in this passage, when the man brings his son to the disciples, we find that rather than the church being able to help, we can't do anything. We can't do anything to make the situation better. And a lot of times the reason we can't make the situation better is because we're too busy involved in a whole lot of other stuff that don't make a hill of beans, that don't matter a bit, but yet we are busy doing what the world is telling us we need to be doing. We're forming committees, we're rallying, we're marching, we're boycotting, we're doing all these things, and really they make no difference. When what we need to do is be pointing those who are crying out for help, we need to be pointing them to the one that is able to help them, the one that is able to fix their situation, the one that is able to answer their cry for help. But we're too busy doing all the other things that we think need to be done. But when are we gonna, instead of organizing boycotts, when are we gonna come together as a church and say it's time to have some prayer meetings? It's time that we stop talking about what's going on in the world and begin to pray about it so that the one who is able to do something about it can hear from us. And when he hears from us, his word tells us that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face, then will I hear from heaven, then will I heal their land. We need help. We need help. And the only way we're going to get help is we've got to get to Jesus. We've got to take the problem to Jesus. We've got to have a little talk with him. Not just when we get ready to go to bed. But you got to have a little talk with him when you get up in the morning. Because you don't know what's going to face you in the day. But when you get up in the morning, you ought to say, Lord, here I am. I know you know what's going to happen, but I know that if I just trust in you, no matter what comes my way today, I'm going to be all right. If they cuss me, I'll be all right. If they cut in front of me, I'll be all right. If they talk about me, I'll be all right. If they mistreat me, I'll be all right. Not because of who I am, but because of who I belong to. Because there's one thing about it. They can't beat my God. They don't stand a chance when it comes to my God. So no matter what's going on around us, our job as the church is to stand as a representative of Jesus the Christ. Our job is to